Let's jump into 5.3a, a cash flow statement. The December 31st comparative balance sheet and income statement of Scott Company are below, and there we have them. And it says, based on the information above, using the indirect method, we'll do the direct method later in the course, prepare a statement of cash flows for the year ended December 31st, 2031. Okay, every good financial statement starts with a 3-line title. Scott Company. Statement of cash flows. For the year ended December 31st, 2031. Remember, the statement of cash flows has 3 sections: operating, investing, and financing. And we'll begin with the operating section. Cash flows from operating activities. And remember how it works. We start, activities. We start with net income, and then we sort of adjust from there. So let's start with our net income. Again, we're doing the indirect method. Net income is $23,000. And then we just make adjustments from there. Now, this title, I'm going to allow my students to just say adjustments, but it's like adjustments to reconcile net income to cash flows from operations, something like that. It's a little bit longer, but adjustments is sufficient for me. And operating activities, you sort of start with net income, and then you look on the income statement and you say, is there anything that needs to be reversed out? And always depreciation. So depreciation is always going to be backed out. So we add back depreciation. And that's $5,000. List on the left, total on the right. And then we have to say, is there anything else here? So typical things here are you sold an asset for a gain or a loss. You back out that gain or loss because that's not an operating activity. That's an investing activity. And we're just looking for other non-cash expenses or non-cash revenue items. In this case, there aren't any. So I'm looking for gains and losses. Often it'll be an additional information in these questions, but there is no additional information here. So we just have depreciation. The other thing we're dealing with in an operating section of a cash flow statement is the change in current assets and current liabilities. How did those affect cash flow? So you ignore cash. Cash is a current asset, of course. AR, current asset. Inventory, current asset. Equipment, buildings, land, that's PPE, that's a long-term asset. Accounts payable, current liability. Salaries, current liability. Income taxes, current liability. We're going to assume notes payable are long-term. And common shares and retained earnings are equity accounts. So change in current assets and current liabilities belong to the operating section. Changes to long-term assets belong in the investing section, and long-term liabilities and equity belongs in the financing section. So that all we do now is just go through the changes and try to figure out the cash implications of each change. So we'll start with accounts receivable. So we ignore cash. Cash is the overall theme of the statement, but you ignore it for this step, and you say, okay, what did accounts receivable do? It went from 25 to 19. Why does account receivable go down? It goes down because we collected money. The decrease in accounts receivable means cash goes up. So change in AR, 6,000. So it's a funny thing, right? Because it went down by 6, but it's a plus 6 to our cash, and that's what we're tracking on our cash flow statement. Change in inventory. Inventory went down. That's also positive for cash flow. And why is that? Well, I always think of it the other way around. If inventory goes up, what happened? Well, I bought more inventory. I got more cash tied up in my inventory. Inventory going down, positive for our cash flow. Less of our money is tied up in inventory. More of our cash is freed up for other use. So 32 to 18 is a plus 4 to our cash. Ignore equipment for now. We'll deal with that in the investing section. We're on to accounts payable. Accounts payable went down. Well, why does accounts payable go down? Because we paid the bill. It's minus to our cash. change in AP minus 8,000. Change in salaries. Salaries payable goes up, so that's good for your cash. You're not paying the salaries. Again, had salaries payable gone down, that's the way I think of it. I go, well, my payable went down. Why did it go down? Because I paid it. So change in sal payable. You'll figure out that means salaries payable, my secret code. Change in taxes payable. Taxes payable go down. Cash goes down by 1,000. Change in tax payable. And there we go. I think that is everything. So let's add up this list. 5,000 plus 6,000 plus 4,000 minus 8,000 plus 2,000 minus 1,000. I get plus 8. So that's the total adjustments to net income. So again, net income sort of is meant to simulate a cash flow number. We're saying, well, let's deal with all the things that changed that would have affected our operating cash as well. We've dealt with all those and we've said, oh, it's a plus 8 to our net income. So overall, from operating activities, we're up $31,000. So cash flows from operating. Oh my goodness. Operating activities is 31,000 positive. Let's continue. Let's do cash flows from investing activities. And cash flows from investing activities, long-term assets, PPE investments, those are the things we're looking at. And we just have these items here. Let me highlight them. These are our two long-term assets to be worried about. So first, we'll start with equipment. Equipment went from 100 to 120. Why does equipment go up? Well, typically because you bought more equipment. What would the expected impact here? In the absence of other additional information, we will assume we paid money for this equipment. Pretty good assumption. Not always the case that you're going to pay money for your equipment. You could buy it on account, or you could, to sign a note for it. But in the absence of other information, just we bought 20 grand more on equipment, our cash went down by 20 grand. And we are in that situation where we don't have any other information. The other thing we're on the lookout here for with equipment is, did we sell any of our equipment? And how will I know if I sold equipment? Well, two ways. One, if we sold equipment, we would expect a gain or loss on sale on the income statement somewhere. We don't have that. And two, if we sold equipment, we would expect depreciation, the accumulated depreciation, to change in an unexpected way. And here's what I mean by that. Our accumulated depreciation was 40. We had depreciation expense of 5, and our accumulated depreciation at the end of the period is 45. What does that mean? It means I didn't sell any equipment that had been depreciated, because otherwise that AD would be a different number. So the fact is, we didn't sell anything. So I can say that for sure. Our accumulated depreciation behaved exactly as we would expect. No cash changes hands as a result of the change in accumulated depreciation, but cash did change hands as a result of the change in equipment. We bought equipment. We didn't sell any, but we did buy $20,000 worth of equipment. Cash paid for equipment. Now that is an assumption we have to make, because we don't have any additional information to tell us otherwise. Theoretically, we could have sold some equipment for, that had no gains or losses, and, weird things could happen. But, in the absence of other information, I would assume that we bought $20,000 worth of equipment. Now, I put this in the totals column because it's the only investing activity, right? It's the only long-term asset that changed, that affected cash flow. So that's why it's in the total. If I had, if I sold some investments, I sold some equipment, I sold a piece of land, that would all be listed on the left, totaled on the right. But here, this is our sort of beginner mode or review from intro accounting, in case you had forgotten. You didn't forget though, did you? I hope not. Okay, let's move on to the final section. And the final section is dealing with the changes in long-term liabilities and equity accounts and seeing how those would impact our cash flow from financing. Cash flows from financing activities. That's our header, and now below it, we just go down the list, right? So first one is long-term liability, is this note. Our note went from 50 to 70. Again, in the absence of other information, what happened? We borrowed $20,000. So cash received on issuance of note payable, right? Cash received on note payable, $20,000. Now, isn't that interesting? Maybe we, if we knew something, we might say, oh, we borrowed the money on the equipment and maybe no cash changed hands. We'd have to receive that in the additional information, right? We have $20,000 of new equipment. We also have a $20,000 new note payable. That seems to match, but it didn't tell us otherwise. We have to assume we just borrowed the money. What about shares? Cash received on issuance of shares, common shares. And why is it an issuance? Well, because I have $5,000 more of shares this year than I did last. My equity grew by $5,000, and in the absence of other information, we assume cash changed hands. The last one, retained earnings went up by 14. Well, what we're really looking for in a change of retained earnings is, did we pay any dividends? Because retained earnings changes by the net income. We've already kind of coped with net income up here and grappled with the cash flow implications of a net income amount. But did we pay any dividends? Well, how will I know that? I recreate a statement of retained earnings. So I have my begin RE, which is $46,000. I'm going to add net income, which is 23. I'm going to say, okay, well, I should be at $69,000. If I didn't pay any dividends, my ending retained earnings would be $69,000, but my ending retained earnings is $60,000. What gives? Well, I must have paid a dividend. So $9,000 is the missing amount here. That's the amount of dividends I declared. Did I pay $9,000 in dividends? The answer here is yes. How do I know I paid $9,000 in dividends? Because there's no dividends payable, right? If I had unpaid dividends at the end of the year, it would show up as a dividend payable, and then I'd have to sort of deal with that. I'd say, oh, I have dividends payable. I didn't pay the whole thing. But in this case, we had no dividends payable at the beginning of the year. We had no dividends paid at the end, payable at the end of the year. We must have paid $9,000 for our dividend. Cash paid for dividends, and it's $9,000. So that goes in brackets because it's a negative cash flow. 20 plus 5 minus 9, 16,000 positive is our cash flows from financing activities. Okay, so this is our cash flow statement. Essentially, we've just got one step left to do, and that's just to make sure it worked. So we say, okay, well, I did the math, and I said, based on my operating activities, $31,000 came in, buying equipment, $20,000 went out, and financing activities generated $16,000 in cash. Overall, what's my change in cash? $31,000 minus 20 plus 16. I'm just adding the three highlighted numbers. Overall, my cash is a positive $27,000 one year to the next. Am I right? Well, let's look at our balance sheet. And yeah, I'm right. It went from 26 to 53. It is up $27,000. Good job. Last step, I just have to say, okay, well, the beginning cash was $26,000. The ending cash was $53,000. Double underline. I need a dollar sign at the top of each column. I need a dollar sign beside the bottom line. There we have our statement of cash flows for Scott Company. Part B says, new information has come to light. In our answer to A, we assumed equipment was purchased for cash, and while that was mostly true, we learned that the company purchased one piece of equipment signing an $8,000 note. Which line items in your cash flow statement need to be changed? What are they going to be? Okay, so basically it's saying this equipment, I didn't pay 20 grand cash because $8,000 of it was signed in a note, so I must have just paid $12,000 in cash. But it also means on my note, I didn't receive $20,000 in cash because I received $8,000 of equipment. So on my note, my cash received on the note is also reduced by $8,000. Now, it's funny that these are exactly the same amount, 20 and 20, but the reality is the cash paid for equipment reduces by $8,000. The cash received on the note reduces by $8,000. I would not expect these numbers to be identical in most questions going forward, but what I would expect to see identical in most questions going forward is I'd expect to see all of you, if you make it to the end of these things, for goodness sakes, hit that button for me. It really helps me in the algo. So if I'm helping you, I hope you'll help me. I said algo for the first time in my life. What a strange turn of phrase. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. The next video in our series is right up here, and if you want a supercut of all of the videos in this series, that's the one down below.